Good evening, everyone. Are you drinking wine? If so, you've tuned into the right place. Welcome to the second episode of Wine with Wanda on Instagram Live. I started this crazy experiment about 2 weeks ago, and it went pretty well. So I thought, why not continue it as we're all social distancing and have time at home for these types of activities? So I'm so excited about today's guest. She's someone that I've admired for several years now. She is the consummate wine professional. So today we're going to be chatting with May Matta-Aliah. You can follow her on Instagram at In The Grape. That's also her website, inthegrape.com. We could spend an hour going through all of May's credentials, but just to give you a little tease of how she's the real deal, she holds a diploma in wine and spirits from the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. She's a certified educator. She teaches at the very prestigious International Wine Center here in New York City. She's also certified by the Society of Wine Educators as a wine educator, and she is an advanced sommelier. Full disclosure, we are both members of La Dame de Scoffier. I'm a new member. May's been a member for a bit longer, and she also co-chairs the scholarship committee. And La Dames is a group of women and working in wine, food, hospitality, and other beverages and spirits. And our mission is to raise scholarship funds for the next generation of women who want to follow in the footsteps of May and other leaders in the industry. So I see May is there, and I'm going to pull her into the conversation now through the magic of Instagram technology. Let's add May to the call. Give me just a second. He should be joining us momentarily. May, it worked.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? You look beautiful.
I am good. How are you?
Let me tell you, girl, I knew you were fabulous and the real deal, but when I really went through your bio and your credentials, how did you find the time to do all of that?
It's been a long journey, Wanda. Do I have to really tell you how long it's been? I started at this in '97.
Okay.
And I came to it as a second career, but I came to it out of a real passion and love for wanting to do this. So, yeah, it's been just a nonstop roller coaster.
I love it. Well, one of the other things I didn't mention is that you have built such a beautiful career, also as an educator, but also as a brand ambassador. So you represent regions in wine and spirits, including Franciacorta, Armagnac, and one of my favorites, Alto Adige. So before we jump into the conversation, I think we both agreed we sip a little wine from Alto Adige tonight. So what do you have?
Oh, let me grab my bottle. So I've got the winery is called Nals Margreid.
Okay.
So it's from Alto Adige. The label is called Galea, which means hillside. And the grape variety, I don't know, I'll try to put it up there, is called Schiava.
Yeah.
And anyone who's heard any of my presentations on Alto Adige has probably heard my fondness for that grape. So when you gave me the chance to pick a grape red wine from Alto Adige, that's where I was going. I love that grape because it tends to make wines that are really delicate for a red wine.
Okay.
They're generally, and this is my glass, so they're a little bit kind of translucent. I like to think of them as almost like a deeper rosé. They're great chilled. They're just fun wines, you know? They're not like wines to cellar. They're not wines to fuss about. They're just wines to drink and enjoy. And I drink wine because I enjoy it. So, I'm not a big hoarder of wines and cellaring wines. I'm just really in it for the love of drinking it. So wines don't last very long in my house.
Hey, that's great advice. Great
Full
advice.
disclosure.
So I'm going to share with the audience what I'm drinking as well. From Alto Adige, I have Elena, one of my favorite producers. And it's their single vineyard Pinot Grigio 2018, Castel Ringberg. Hope I pronounced that correctly. And I really picked this because, everyone knows Pinot Grigio, but they don't know it. They don't know its full capacity and potential for flavor, complexity, texture, and minerality. And I think Alto Adige is a region where Pinot Grigio really stands out. And Elena Walch just is a pioneer and does such beautiful wine. So let's raise a glass to Alto Adige.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Clink.
Fabulous.
Yeah. I love that, Elena. That particular vineyard is gorgeous. It sits right by the river, by a big lake, and it's just this absolutely beautiful site. Just gets, I mean, it's really picturesque. But that's Alto Adige. It's very picturesque. So
yeah, I think Alto Adige is still one of those regions that isn't as well known. You know, Americans love traveling to Italy when we were able to travel, but maybe Alto Adige is a little less known. So what makes it so special in terms of the wines, do you think?
Oof, I mean, it is really such a unique little pocket in Italy in so many ways. Partly it's just the culture. This was a part that was, it's South Tyrol or South Tyrol. Mm-hmm. So it was formerly part of that Austro-Hungarian Empire. They speak, the majority of the people in Alto Adige speak German as a first language. And, you know, about 70 or 80% speak German. So there's a very strong Austrian influence there. But so that's just culturally, because you really find this very interesting confluence with cultures. But then also when it comes to the visual terrain, I mean, you were there, right? You were there. Absolutely. It's just crazy beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it. Like you walk out and you look around and you're like, seriously? Like, it's just these beautiful valleys. And then you've got these alpine mountains or the Dolomites everywhere you look, all around you. It's green, like, you know, like somebody's, you know, photoshopped the color to be completely saturated. Like I never do on my Instagram, by the way, ever. But it looks photoshopped. It's so beautiful. And then you've got this crazy altitude variations. You go from 600 feet up to 3,000 feet. So they can grow everything there, from Cabernet Sauvignon to Schiava to Pinot Grigio to you know, Müller-Thurgau, and very kind of grape varieties that really like cold climates. True. So it's and all of that in a place that represents less than 1% of what they make in Italy. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and you feel like, you know, take everything that you thought you knew about Italian wine and just kind of throw it out the window when you're thinking of Alto Adige, because to me, it's sort of its own unique place, and it really doesn't remind me much of other parts of Italy. It's really sort of its own very unique.
So brand ambassador, you know, I know it's a term that we hear a lot, and one of the reasons I was really interested in talking with you is I want people to know the full range of careers that are possible in the wine industry. That it's not just being a somm, it's not just being a writer or a winemaker or a salesperson. There's so many exciting career paths where different skills come into play. So what is a brand ambassador? And tell us a little bit about what you do in that role.
Okay. Well, so when I came to wine, I came to it as a second career.
What's the first career?
Well, my first career was as an art director. I was a graphic designer and art director. And through that, and through the agency that I worked in, the last agency that I worked in, we had a lot of wine clients, and they started to send me to wine classes. And so that was my first kind of real sense that there's a whole industry. There are people that actually teach about wine. Now, I've always loved wine. I grew up I grew up in Lebanon, and I have really fond memories. The end of the summer, going up with my parents, we'd go to a winery, and they'd buy their cases of wine for the year. And so I have very vivid memories of that. And my parents will attest to how many times they caught me trying to sneak glasses of wine when I was a kid. You know, drinking laws are a little bit lax in Lebanon. So there are many stories of me having had a little too much wine, even at, you know, the age of maybe 9 or 10, which I always tell my parents, I'm like, that says a lot about your parenting. But anyway, but when I got into wine as a very deliberate second career, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with it, which is also kind of why I pursued a lot of these certifications. What I knew is that I loved learning. But I didn't really know. I didn't want to work on the floor because I had a husband who had a 9-to-5 job, and I wanted to see him. I didn't want to do sales because I don't really like the idea of running around town with bags of, bags. It's hard work. And, I'm not, I don't, that was not what I wanted to do. So I kind of struggled a little bit until I actually sort of inadvertently, and a lot of things in my life seem to happen that way. I went to the International Wine Center after I got my diploma, and I asked them if they could give me some career advice. it turned out at the time they needed somebody to help in the management of the school. So I joined the school in more of a management capacity.
Okay.
And then through Linda Laurie, who was the director at the time, who's been a tremendous mentor to me, really. I mean, she would hate it if she heard me say that, but it's true. But she really kind of encouraged me to start teaching. And I did it. I taught my first class there. I was as nervous as could be. But I really loved it. And it sort of just opened a whole world to me. So that's, you know, I continued to do that, continued to do some freelance design for years because I was trying to pay bills. Because as many people can tell you in the wine industry, we're all there for the passion. Very few of us are there for the money.
Yeah, many of us need a hustle and a side hustle to the hustle.
It's a hustle. So I kept my design business for a while because I was trying to make money. Until I got, and I answered, and this is to answer your question specifically about ambassadors. I answered an email. A lot of people are like, how did you end up doing what you're doing? I'm like, I answered an email. It was that sexy. But the Armagnac region at the time was looking for an educator, and they wanted somebody to be an ambassador for the region. And this was in 2009. So, you know, at the time I thought, what the heck, I'll go for this. What do I have to lose? I applied. I went through a series of interviews, and then I got the job, and then just completely panicked because I had no idea what I was then going to do. So fast forward now, 11 years in, still working with Armagnac, still my baby, my first baby.
I love it.
So what it really does, I mean, what that job is you're representing the region. I am not working for a particular brand. I am not paid on, you know, promoting one brand. In fact, I'm not supposed to do that. I am hired by the consortium. So I'm hired by the BNIA for Armagnac. I'm hired by the Consortio for Franciacorta. I'm hired by the Consortio for Alto Adige and or their local representatives in our market. So it could be their PR agency here to do education about the region. So they're funded differently. Sometimes it's producer funded. Sometimes it's the percentage from the Consortio. It's typically part of the marketing plan of the Consortio. Generally also for regions that realize that the only way to get the word out about them is through education.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'm not here to sell. And a lot of, you know, when I go to places, I'm really just there to tell you what is unique about this area, what is special, what you should look for, you know. So it's you know, to get the visibility out, but not in a, you know, I'm not sitting there taking orders when I'm done. Sure. That's for somebody else to do.
I think the word that really jumps out with you is education, education, education. And I've noticed definitely an uptick in the number of people who used to have a casual interest in wine that are now enrolling in formal curriculums, many at the International Wine Center, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
How important, you know, wine is something, like you said, you grew up drinking it with your family, something that's part of many people's lifestyle. How important is a formal wine education as opposed to self-study? If someone's thinking about it, wants to know, why should I really invest the time and money in pursuing it formally?
You know, I mean, it's an interesting question because I find there's a lot of kind of discussion about that also in the social media sphere. For me, it was an eye-opening, door-opening experience. I wanted to get into wine later in my career. And I wanted to, first I started because I just wanted to learn. But then when I decided I actually wanted to do something in this industry, for me, it gave me credibility. Something that I was trying to sort of, you know, get ahead, maybe cram 10 years of what I could have done on my own into just formalized education, maybe that I could have some basic information in 3 or 4 years. So for me, it was an invaluable tool. Also, a lot of what, and I hope I don't insult anyone here, but what masquerades as education out there is really usually somebody who's really incentivized to sell the wine. So whether it's the brand and, you know, the producer telling you about their wine, whether it's the, you know, you're in a store, in-store tastings, it's somebody trying to sell you the wine. It doesn't mean what they're telling you is wrong. It just means that you're not really getting the full picture. So for me, having this very objective background that enabled me to make a very objective analysis of wines was very important. And then, you know, within that, you develop your own likes and dislikes for sure. I mean, we all have wines we like. I mean, I'm a big fan of this, right? I love delicate, wines, a lot of people love big, robust, Cabernets from Napa, and so what having these credentials to me enabled me to be able to understand objectively quality criteria that I may not have been able to really fine tune on my own.
Great.
Listening to other people who are much more knowledgeable than I am and learning from them. It doesn't mean you can't do this on your own. If you're somebody who can sit there with your own motivation and do it, God bless. And this, in this whole quarantine, people are doing all kinds of workouts on their own. The only way that I can get myself to move my body, I won't say what part of my body, is to sign up for a live streaming Pilates class, because otherwise I know that I can get 100 free ones. I just won't do it.
Of course.
So for me, having that classroom and knowing that I have to go there and do the work, there's a test. I hate failing tests.
So it sets up a syllabus, goal, and a timeline, which a lot of us do need that discipline.
Yeah. So for me, that was really helpful.
Now, travel, I know that's something that's been a big part of your career. I followed your travels. I had the privilege of traveling with you to Alto Adige. And right now, travel's on hold for all of us. So I'm sure that's changed the way you're working as well. I've noticed you're doing more of these types of, Zoom seminars. How do you find teaching through a screen?
It's okay. I mean, I have to say it was a little bit disconcerting at the beginning. I've done a couple of webinars where I just would kind of click through my PowerPoint for an hour. That was a little bit too disjointed for me.
Sure.
But, doing these kind of live Zoom webinars and being able to have people there, share wine with them, have the winemakers dial in and join the discussion, it actually ended up opening opportunities that I don't think we would have had if we didn't have this current situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that, it's been an interesting time. There's a lot of, I spent today, my, at noon, I watched a webinar with Cesar Saldana, who's the Consejo he's a representative from the Sherry Wine Consejo. I'm a huge fan of him as an educator. So I got an hour of him, and answering questions. We just got off a tasting group with Charles Curtis, MW, talking about champagne. And now I'm doing this. So, it could be a lot worse.
Well, thank you for making time for me. Well, I would be remiss. We'll have to have you come back to talk about Lebanese wines, but I would be remiss if we didn't talk about it just a little bit. I think a lot of people don't realize what a rich wine legacy Lebanon has. So do you just want to give a little sizzle of what that's like, and we'll have you come back another time to talk about it.
Sure, yeah. Lebanon is a very old wine industry, actually. So today in Cesar's presentation about cherry wine, he was talking about the influence of the Phoenicians being the first to bring in Vitis vinifera vines to the region. So the Phoenicians came out of Lebanon. So we are a Phoenician culture. It's a very, very old culture. Wine has a very long history there. I think a lot of people don't think about that because they think of other, our Civil War and all of the stuff. But I think it's been this one story of true hope that's come out of the country, even in the bleakest of times. I think Chateau Mouzar, Serge Hochar was maybe the man who really, got that word out to the rest of the world. But, he's not alone. Every winery that was producing wine during the Civil War was going through the same circumstance. But after the war ended in 91, we had about 4 functioning wineries. Today, there are over 50. And there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. There are a lot of boutique wineries, some, natural winemaking, biodynamically certified, organic certified, in the Bekaa, which is our fertile valley. It's a very high altitude wine region. So, sort of like Mendoza in Argentina, you're talking about something that's over 3,000 feet in elevation.
Amazing.
A whole new wine region. it's been just this really, really interesting dynamic growth. So yeah, that would be for another seminar.
Yes, definitely. I saw you pouring a few years ago. There was a Lebanese wine tasting.
Yeah.
My first experience, and
I work
beautiful.
So that's in addition to the other ambassador roles. I do work with one Lebanese winery, which is called Domaine de Tourelle, and I'm a huge fan of their wines and the winemaker. So I think that's where you saw me behind the table pouring that wine.
With your smile and pouring wine always. So a fun part of this, I think we all have our pet peeves. On Wine with Wanda, we like to give you a chance to whine a little bit. tell me something, a pet peeve or a misconception that people may have that you just want to get out there.
Get out there. Yeah, it's gonna have to do with this. Look at that, right? So here, let's see, I'm trying to show the beautiful translucency of color. People, color and quality don't go hand in hand. This is a truth. It's true for spirits too. And what that, you know, so many people have become so conditioned to think, oh, if the wine is red and it's really dark, it's good quality. Oh, if my cognac is really dark, it's good quality. Here's why that's a problem. In the perfect world, it just means that your red wine had the grape had thicker skins. That's all that means. And in spirits, it just means if that spirit or that cognac or that Armagnac really stayed in that barrel for about 30 years, then it's going to have that true color. But what actually happens is that a lot of wineries add color. So they're adding purple and they're adding red dye and purple dye and all kinds of nonsense to your wine just so it looks darker, because people associate that. And it's the same with spirits, with Armagnac and cognacs. They can add, I mean, they do it a lot less with Armagnac, by the way, a lot more with commercial brands. They will add caramel just to adjust the color, because people look at that dark color and they think, oh my gosh, it must be really old and great. Well, no. I mean, if it's a VS and it's 2 years old and it's a brown color, that's coming from caramel.
We're
and if the
wine, come back and talk about cognac as well, because many people don't know cognac starts as a wine, right?
Yeah, cognac, Armagnac, they all start as grapes. So many things we can talk about. Then we can talk about Franciacorta, because that's sparkling wine. See, that's why my job is so fun. I never get bored.
I'm really, it's always clear to me that you're so passionate about what you do and just so busy, but clearly you're doing what you love. And I just wanted viewers to see the type of career that someone could build if they really put their mind to it. And I think you're just so great at networking, so great at making people feel welcome, sharing your expertise in a very down-to-earth way. So I'm so excited I had a chance to chat with you today.
Thank you.
So everyone
thank you for having me.
my pleasure. So everyone out there can visit you at www.inthegrape.com or follow you at inthegrape.com, at inthegrape on Instagram. And I think we're done. So let's raise another glass and
cheers.
Next time. Hope to see you in person soon.
Yes, oh God, I hope so. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
To all of you out there, thanks for watching. Even if you're sipping at home alone, you're not alone. You can have wine with Wanda. Take care. Stay safe. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.